Since all the wedding planning is done, you are no longer invited to my wedding, my sister smirked. I didn't say a word and went on vacation. Now they are frantically calling and trying to reach me. I, Alex, 28F, received a text message arrived at 9:17 a.m., sharp and cold, like a blade against my skin. Hey, Alex. I've been thinking. I don't think it's going to work with you at the wedding. It's just that you don't really fit the vibe we're going for. I hope you understand. I stared at the message, my heart pounding with a mix of disbelief and rage. No, I'm sorry. No, let's talk. Just blunt, dismissive words that echoed louder than any insult. I had spent months planning Mia's wedding, months of sleepless nights coordinating vendors, arranging the perfect venue, managing guest lists, and even paying for a large chunk of the expenses because she didn't want to burden anyone. But apparently, none of that mattered. I didn't reply. Instead, I stared at the screen, feeling like a fool for believing I was more than just a walking ATM for their endless demands. I'd always been invisible in my own family. Growing up, I was the shadow that followed Mia's footsteps, the quiet observer while she basked in the spotlight. I was the one who held the camera, capturing her victories and smiling through the ache in my chest. When we were kids, Mia was the golden child, the one who got praised for every little achievement. Straight A's? Of course, Mia's brilliant. She won a school art contest? Mia's so creative. And me? I was just there. I'd get the occasional good job, but it was always followed by a reminder that Mia was doing something even better. I remember one time in middle school, I had won a writing competition. I was so excited, I rushed home to tell my parents. Mom barely glanced up from her magazine. That's nice, honey. But did you see Mia's science fair project? She's going to be on the news. It stung. But I smiled anyway, because that's what I'd always done. I learned to be okay with being overlooked, to accept that my worth was tied to how much I could do for others. Despite all of that, I kept showing up. When Mia needed help with her college applications, I stayed up late, proofreading every essay. When she got her first job, I helped her negotiate her salary. When she wanted to buy a car, I gave her the down payment because I just wanted to make things easier for her. And when she got engaged, I didn't hesitate. I planned her entire wedding, from the floral arrangements to the catering, and even paid for it because she said it was her dream wedding and I was her loving sister. But this was different. She'd uninvited me from the very day I'd been working tirelessly to create, a day that was supposed to be about love, family, and celebration. And for what? Because I didn't fit her classy theme? When I finally confronted my parents, I thought maybe they'd understand. But they didn't. Alex, you have to understand, Mom said with that same tired tone she always used when justifying Mia's actions. Mia's just trying to keep things simple. She's under a lot of stress. Dad chimed in, you know how she gets when she's overwhelmed. It's not personal. I clenched my jaw, fighting back the tears. Not personal? She's my sister, and she treated me like I was invisible. But they didn't see it that way. She's just trying to have the wedding of her dreams, Mom added, as if that made it okay. And maybe that's when it hit me. I was never more than the person who made things easier for them. I was the one who helped financially, the one who cleaned up the messes, the one who disappeared when it was time to shine. But not anymore. I stared at my phone, the glowing screen a reminder of everything I'd done for them. And then it hit me, I was done. Done being the walking ATM, done being the invisible sister. Done being the one who always gave and never received. I booked a same-day ticket and went for my vacation. A peaceful vacation, but also I was planning something for my revenge. I was done being their walking ATM. I cancelled all the wedding payments and the monthly payments I used to send them. On the day of the wedding morning my phone buzzed. I ignored it, then it buzzed again, and again. I finally picked up, not because I wanted to, but because the incessant ringing was starting to feel like a personal attack. Alex, Mom's voice came through, shaky and desperate. Please, pick up. We need you. I clenched my jaw, staring at the horizon. The waves didn't care about my family's problems. But I did. Why are you calling me? I asked, my voice colder than the ocean breeze. Because Mia's wedding is a disaster, she blurted out, her voice thick with panic. The venue cancelled, the flowers didn't show up, and the caterers being difficult. She's a mess, Alex. She's crying, and I cut her off. And you think I'm going to come running because you've messed up your precious little princess's day? There was silence on the other end. I'm done being the fixer, I continued. I'm done being the backup plan. But Mom wasn't ready to let me go. Alex, you've always been the responsible one. You know how much Mia needs you right now. I hung up. 5 minutes later. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was Dad. Alex, please. Don't be like this, he said, his voice strained. Mia's your sister. She's having the worst day of her life. I stared at the ocean, the waves crashing as if mocking his words, and what was I to her, Dad? I snapped. Just the person who paid for everything so she could have her perfect day? Dad sighed heavily. It's not about the money, Alex. It's about family. You're being selfish. Selfish, I laughed bitterly, the sound lost in the wind. You're right, I said, my voice dripping with sarcasm. I should be selfless enough to keep being your walking ATM, even when I'm treated like I don't exist. I ended the call before he could respond, but they didn't stop. The next minute again my phone lit up with back-to-back calls, first from Mom, then from Dad, then Mia. I finally answered when I saw Mia's name flashing on the screen. Alex, please, she begged, her voice trembling. I'm sorry. I was wrong to uninvite you. I need you here. This wedding is falling apart. I didn't even bother to hide my bitterness. You need me now? Funny how that works. But then her voice shifted, desperate, pleading, if you don't come, we're going to have to tell everyone you don't care about family. That you're heartless. I froze. Heartless. I thought about all the times I'd been ignored, dismissed, and overlooked, but this was the line they crossed. I'm not coming to save your wedding, I snapped. And I'm not going to let you guilt me into it. But they didn't stop there. A few hours later, my phone buzzed with a message from Dad. If you don't help us, we'll have no choice but to disown you. You'll be nothing to us. I stared at the message, feeling a mix of rage and disbelief. They thought they could control me with threats. I was done being the family's emotional ATM, their scapegoat, their backup plan. That night, I received another call, this time from both Mom and Dad. Alex, Mom's voice was sharp, cold. You've always been the strong one. But you're acting like a spoiled child. Dad added, you're making a huge mistake. We're not just family, we're your family. I laughed bitterly, the sound sharp and unforgiving. You're not my family, I snapped. You're the people who taught me that love comes with conditions. That being enough means paying for it. There was silence on the other end, then Dad's voice, low and venomous, you'll regret this, Alex. But I didn't, I hung up. The ocean had always been my escape, but now, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the sky in streaks of purple and gold, it felt like the only thing that understood me. My phone buzzed again, I didn't even look at it. The vibrating buzz was like a reminder of everything I was leaving behind, calls, texts, guilt trips, threats. But curiosity got the better of me. I picked up the phone and stared at the screen. Mom, 16 missed calls. Dad, 12 missed calls. Mia, 8 missed calls and 15 messages. I didn't open any of them. Instead, I locked my phone, tossed it onto the cabin's wooden table, and stared back at the ocean. The next morning, my phone buzzed again. I finally decided to check the messages. Mia, Alex, please. I'm sorry. I didn't mean what I said. This is my dream wedding, and I'm overwhelmed. I miss you. I need you, Mom. Alex, don't be like this. You're tearing the family apart. We've always been there for you. Now you're abandoning us. Dad, you'll regret this. You're making a huge mistake. We won't forget this, Alex. I stared at the screen, my heart racing, not with guilt, but with anger. They thought they could break me with words, but I wasn't made of glass. Later that day, I received another call, this time from an unknown number. I answered. My voice sharp. Alex, it's me. Dad's voice came through, strained and desperate. I'm serious. If you don't come back, we're going to disown you. I laughed bitterly, the sound echoing off the wooden walls of the cabin. Disown me? I repeated, incredulous. You think I'm scared of that? Dad sighed heavily, his voice dripping with frustration. Fine, he snapped. If that's how you feel, then so be it. I hung up without another word. The days blurred together. I didn't reply to any of their messages or calls. I didn't check my emails or social media. The only thing that mattered was the ocean, the salty breeze, and the quiet peace that came with being completely disconnected. But the truth was, it wasn't just about peace, it was about freedom. For the first time in my life, I wasn't tied to anyone's expectations. No one could tell me who I was or what I should be. I was finally mine. A week into my isolation, I found an old journal tucked away in the cabin's drawer. I picked it up, its pages yellowed with age, and then I wrote, not to my family, but to myself. Dear Alex, I began, my pen moving with a fury I didn't know I had. You are not invisible. You are not a backup plan. You are not a walking ATM. You are fierce, independent, and worthy of love, without conditions. I wrote until my hand ached, pouring out years of frustration, sadness, and rage. When I finished, I closed the journal, a sense of release washing over me like the tide. A few days later, my phone buzzed again. It was a message from Mia. I miss you, Alex. Please come back. I need you. I stared at the message, my heart a tangled mess of emotions, but I didn't reply. Instead, I packed up my things, left the cabin, and came back to the city, not to go back to them, but to face the life I had left behind. I wasn't running away. I was walking towards something new. When I arrived back home, I didn't go to the house. I didn't even check my phone. I just stood there, staring at the city skyline, realizing something. I was never going to be invisible again. And I didn't need them to prove it. I was enough. The city felt different when I returned. The streets were still bustling, the cars honking their usual symphony, and the neon lights flickered like they'd never known what silence was. But for me, it was like stepping into a place that had forgotten I existed. I wasn't just back, I was different. No more desperate calls. No more guilt trips. No more playing the invisible daughter. I had reclaimed myself, but the storm was far from over. I hadn't even made it home when my phone buzzed. Mom, we need to talk. Please. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding, not from fear, but from something else, something like defiance. I didn't reply. I kept walking until I reached a small cafe that I used to love. Sitting by the window, I ordered black coffee and stared out, pretending to be indifferent to the world, but I wasn't. The door jingled, and there they were, Mom, Dad, and Mia, all standing there like they'd just walked out of a soap opera. I didn't flinch. I didn't run, I just sat there, sipping my coffee, letting them approach me like they were the ones with the power. Mom's face twisted with frustration. Alex, we need to talk. I raised an eyebrow, setting my cup down gently. Oh, we do? I replied, calm as the ocean breeze. Mia shifted uncomfortably, her eyes filled with regret. Dad crossed his arms, his jaw tight. You've made your point, Alex. But this is family. I smiled, a thin, cold smile that didn't reach my eyes. Family? I echoed. Funny, because I don't remember being part of it. Mom's eyes filled with tears. You're being unreasonable. We've always been there for you. I laughed bitterly. You mean like when you ignored me for years? When I was just the responsible one who paid for everything? Mia finally spoke, her voice soft but firm. I didn't mean to hurt you, Alex. I was caught up in everything. I leaned forward, my voice dropping to a whisper. You were caught up in everything, except me. There was silence, then Dad's voice, sharp as a blade. Maybe we should have just disowned you when we had the chance. That was it. The words burned more than I expected, but they didn't break me. I stood up, leaving my coffee untouched. Thanks for the reminder, I said coolly. But I've already disowned you. And with that, I walked out, leaving them standing there like ghosts in a world that no longer had a place for them. The days that followed were quiet, no calls, no messages, no family drama. I focused on myself for the first time in years. I took dance classes, started painting again, and even signed up for a photography course. I was living, not surviving. But life has a funny way of throwing curveballs. One evening, as I was scrolling through my phone, I saw it, a post from Mia, to the best sister anyone could ask for. Thank you for everything. I'm sorry for how I treated you. I hope you find happiness. It was public, and it stung, not because of the apology, but because it was too little, too late. I didn't reply, I didn't even acknowledge it. Instead, I packed a bag, grabbed my camera, and went to the beach one last time. I sat there, the ocean stretching out before me, and I realized something. I didn't need their apology, I didn't need their approval. I had already found myself, and that was enough. Without me, the facade of perfection they'd built crumbled faster than I'd ever imagined. I'd always been the invisible one, the one who did everything behind the scenes, paying for things, fixing problems, smoothing out the rough edges. But when I walked away, they were left standing in the wreckage of their own making. It started subtly. Dad, the credit card is maxed out again. Mia's voice echoed through a voicemail I accidentally heard when I left my phone on speaker. I know, Dad replied, his voice strained. But we need it for the wedding. We can't let it fall apart now. I didn't respond. I just stared at the waves crashing against the shore, feeling nothing but a hollow sense of satisfaction. They thought money was endless, but it wasn't, and I wasn't there to keep the illusion alive. Within weeks, the calls started flooding in, creditors, banks, utility companies, all demanding payments that couldn't be made. Your payment is overdue. Your account is in arrears. We're initiating foreclosure proceedings. The house I had grown up in, the one that had always been a symbol of stability, was now a sinking ship. Dad called me one night, his voice shaky and defeated. Alex, we need your help. We're in trouble. I didn't even hesitate. I'm not the ATM you've been using for years, I snapped. Figure it out. And I hung up. Mia reached out next. Alex, please. I'm so sorry. We're losing everything. I need you. I stared at the message, my heart a battlefield of emotions, but I didn't reply, because the truth was, I was tired of being the one who always fixed things. I wanted them to face the consequences of their actions. A few months later, I got a letter in the mail. It was from the bank. Your parents' mortgage is in default. The property will be foreclosed unless payment is received. I didn't feel guilty, I felt free, because for the first time in my life, I wasn't the one holding everything together. They were drowning in the mess they'd created, and I was the lifeboat they'd refused to acknowledge. One evening, my phone buzzed with a message from Dad. Alex, we're losing everything. Please, just help us this one last time. I stared at the message, my fingers hovering over the keyboard, but I didn't reply. Instead, I sent a simple text. I'm sorry. I'm not your safety net anymore. And then I deleted his number. I didn't look back. I didn't wonder if they missed me. I didn't care, because for the first time in my life, I was living for myself. No guilt. No obligations, just freedom.